Hello and welcome. This is News Now reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, EFCC arrests former Managing Director of Fidelity Bank PLC. National Judicial Council penalizes 3 High Court judges for issuing conflicting ex parte order. Libyans in utter confusion 8 days to presidential election. France announces self-isolation for anyone arriving from Britain. Glad to have you join us, and here are the stories we're tracking at this hour. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. Now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari is set to leave Abuja for Istanbul, Turkey, where he will attend the 3rd Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit. This is according to a statement signed by presidential spokesperson Garuba Shehu. The summit is to be hosted by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The agenda includes reviewing the cooperation between African countries and Turkey since the last summit in 2014. The 3rd Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit is coming on the heels of President Erdogan's recent visit to Nigeria, during which several agreements in the fields of energy, defense, industry, mining, and hydrocarbons were signed to expand existing bilateral ties. The president is expected to return to Abuja on Sunday. The Senate has shifted the date for the passage of the 2022 budget until next Tuesday, December 21. Senate President Ahmad Lawan announced this during plenary on Wednesday. The upper chamber had said it would pass the 2022 budget on Wednesday, but it appears the delay in capturing the financial requirements of Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the National Population Commission (NPC) in the 2022 budget may be responsible for the failure of the Senate to pass the budget yesterday. Speaking in an interview with journalists, the chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, Senator Jibrin Barau, said the commission has met with officials from INEC and NPC to discuss the problem of insufficient funds in the budgets of the government agencies. Based on Barau's comments, the Senate adjourned the plenary, thereby foreclosing its earlier projection to pass the budget this week. This comes as the NPC proposed 400 billion naira for the proposed conduct of next year's national census. The National Judicial Council (NJC) has penalized 3 High Court judges for issuing conflicting ex parte order in the cases involving the former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Uche Secondus. The affected judges are Justice Okogbule Gbasam of the High Court of Rivers State, Justice Nusirat I. Umar of the High Court of Kebbi State, and Justice Edem Ita Kofre of the High Court of Cross River State. A statement by the Director of Information, Soji Oye, said NJC, at a meeting chaired by Justice Mary Odili, barred the affected judges from promotion between the next 2 to 5 years, issuing them with warning letters and placing them on its watch list. The federal government says there will henceforth be an accountability audit of various agencies, adding that bureaucratic bottlenecks will be identified and removed in a renewed effort to further improve the country's business environment and economy. This will in turn encourage more local and foreign investments, create more jobs and opportunities for Nigerians. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, made these observations on Wednesday night at the 5th anniversary celebration event of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, which was held at the State House Banquet Hall, Abuja. In improving the country's business climate and making it more attractive to foreign and local investors, the Vice President noted that while creating jobs is the government's priority, the biggest job creator is the private sector, particularly small and medium enterprises. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has uncovered an additional $72.8 million linked to the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Diezani Alison Madueke. The sum was said to have been discovered in an account domiciled in Fidelity Bank PLC. Meanwhile, the EFCC has arrested a former managing director of Fidelity Bank PLC, Namo Okonkwo, allegedly over an additional $72,870,000 found in the coffers of the bank. Okonkwo, who is Group Managing Director of FBN Holdings PLC and others, were earlier grilled over a sum of $153 million and $115 million by the Commission. While all the $153 million were recovered by the EFCC, the cases involving $150 million as it relates to the Independent National Electoral Commission bribery matter are in various courts. Okonkwo and Charles Onyedibe are currently being detained by the EFCC over the whereabouts of the new $72.8 million. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service on Thursday attended to a fire call at Gbade Plaza, 24 Nnamdi Azikiwe Street, Lagos Island. The fire, which involved only 3 shops at the ground floor from among 56 shops in the 3-story plaza, gulped some goods and properties. The inferno was, however, extinguished from escalating to adjoining structures in the boisterous Lagos market by a combined effort of the Federal Fire Service. According to the emergency team, investigation into the cause of the fire is ongoing, while no casualty was recorded. Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal has urged the federal government to consider the option of creating a special force to tackle banditry. Tambuwal spoke on Wednesday when he received a delegation of the Northwest Governors Forum led by Aminu Masari, Governor of Katsina State. The delegation visited the governor to commiserate with the state over the security challenges, including the recent attack on a bus that led to the killing of 23 travelers. Governor Tambuwal said the special forces should comprise locals of the affected communities because they have rich knowledge of the areas. Tambuwal appealed to President Buhari to consider the possibility of creating the special forces. Nigeria has rallied countries to propose the first ever draft resolution on enhancing access and use of beneficial ownership information to facilitate the identification, recovery, and return of stolen assets. Among the countries rallied are Pakistan, Palestine, Kenya, Peru, and Saudi Arabia. This was the move Nigeria made at the World Anti-Corruption Conference, which began in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, with 152 countries, including Nigeria, meeting to advance action through the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, and strengthening integrity responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the statement, the draft resolution calls on member states to establish and populate a register of beneficial owners of assets and make the respective information accessible to other states with a view to aiding corruption and asset recovery-related investigations. The Education Secretariat of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has released 8 strategic plans for schools across the nation's capital in 2022. Malam Sani El Katuzu, Secretary of the FCT Education Secretariat, on Thursday said that in the coming year, security architecture will be strengthened through the adoption of technologies, particularly for schools in vulnerable areas. He told newsmen in Abuja that the welfare of teachers would be prioritized, along with the upgrading of physical infrastructure at all schools. El Katuzu also revealed that academic activities and programs will begin at the FCT University of Science and Technology Fusta in 2022, and that the FCT College of Education Zuba will be transformed into the FCT University of Education Zuba. Other programs, he added, will include a detailed look at the activities of private schools in the area to guarantee compliance with existing norms and standards. The Cross River State government is seeking stronger ties with Equatorial Guinea in maritime and aviation. The governor of the state, Professor Ben Ayade, made a call when the new Equatorial Guinea Consular General to Nigeria, Ildefonso Ondon Chama, presented his letter of credence to him at Government House Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, South Nigeria. Governor Ayade said he was happy to wholeheartedly accept this letter of credence and all its associated credentials with joy, pride, and honor. Ayade expressed conviction that the new Consular General would be able to discharge his duties. Consul Chama stated, quote, "It is necessary to have a Consular General here in Calabar, Cross River State, because of the cordial relationship existing between Equatorial Guinea and Nigeria." And still to come, the European Union is under assault from Russia on multiple fronts. Details and more news update after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, and meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Welcome back. Authorities in Democratic Republic of Congo on Thursday declared the end of an Ebola outbreak that emerged in early October in North Kivu province and infected 11 people, killing 6 of them. Congo declared its 13th outbreak of the disease on October 8 in Beni in the east of the country, prompting fears of a repeat of a 2018-2020 epidemic that killed nearly 2,300 people in the same region, the second highest toll recorded in the disease's history. The virus, which causes severe vomiting and diarrhea and is spread through contact with body fluids, was first discovered near the Ebola River in 1976. The World Health Organization said in a statement that authorities vaccinated more than 1,800 people using Merck's recently licensed verbal vaccine. 8 days before Libyans were meant to cast presidential votes, there is utter confusion over the fate of an election that has not yet been formally delayed, but that has almost no chance of going ahead on time. The planned December 24 vote, along with a parallel election for a new parliament, was meant to help end Libya's past decade of chaos by installing a political leadership with national legitimacy after years of factional division. However, the process has been dogged with since the start by bitter disputes over the election's legal basis and fundamental rules, including over the eligibility of deeply divisive frontrunners that have never been resolved. On Saturday, the Electoral Commission said it would not announce the final list of eligible candidates drawn from the 98 who registered until after legal discussions with the judiciary and parliament. This implies there is no time for candidates to campaign, while major security incidents over recent days have added to fears over electoral integrity if the vote does go ahead. To the foreign scene now. Lithuania's president will ask European leaders for help in a dispute with China over diplomatic relations with Taiwan. The presidential advisor, Astas Keisgert, said on Thursday this will lead to a discussion on how the EU and particularly European Commission could help Lithuania in this matter. Asta told the Lithuanian public broadcaster that the conflict will be discussed with European partners and that economic actions would be as wide as possible. France announced on Thursday that because of surging COVID-19 cases in Britain, only designated categories of people would be allowed to travel between the two countries, and anyone arriving from Britain would have to self-isolate. Truck drivers will though be exempt from the new rules. The French government said easing British concerns the restrictions could cause supply chain disruptions. France said it was acting now because the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus, which scientists say appears to be highly infectious, is spreading rapidly in Britain. French government spokesman Gabriel Attal said on BFM-TV television station, quote, "The goal is to limit as much as possible the spread of Omicron across their territory," end of quote. The European Union is under assault from Russia on multiple fronts and must unite behind new economic sanctions, Baltic and Central European leaders said on Thursday, with Lithuania citing a risk of possible Russian military strikes from Belarus. The warnings at the EU summit were some of the most direct in recent weeks as the United States and its NATO allies seek to deter any possible Russian attack on Ukraine and reduce Moscow's margin for surprise. Many NATO allies are also EU member states. Ukraine remains the main flashpoint between Russia and the West. Washington says Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops on Ukraine's borders, possibly for an invasion. Moscow says it has a right to move its troops around its own territory as it sees fit, but says the maneuvers are purely defensive. Coming up next is business news.
Hello and welcome to Business News. I am Omobolanle Adeshui and here are the stories we're tracking at the moment. A policy and social affairs analyst, Undying has raised concerns over the continuous borrowing approach of the federal government. Reacting to the recent revelation by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, that Nigeria's total public debt may hit 38 trillion naira by December, Ario bemoaned low impact of government borrowing on the economy. The House of Representatives in a plenary last week approved a fresh $5.8 billion loan and another $10 million grant for federal government. Oladeyinde spoke on our flagship program, Business Breakfast.
Now, why do you have to go into qualifying or embellishing borrowing if it makes sense? The point here is this. Number one, oil, our major income source, is gradually losing track in the global markets. And so much energy is being put into other sources of energy, right? Whereby the global reliance on oil will be massively whittled down. So you'll have expected a country with a forward-minded leaders to have been thinking ahead. Now, I'm not stopping at this government now. I'm talking of government since as far as the return of democracy. They've been shouting that we should diversify agriculture this, agriculture that. But it's been more of talking tall and walking short. We've not really walked the talk. And that's where we are. Then the position of opaque reports that we've been subjected to. When you say you are borrowing, like in normal individual or business situations, a few things must be present. Number one, you must be borrowing for a project that has the capacity to repay the principal, the interest, and every associated cost that has to do with that loan. Number two, the borrowing must deliver value to the people, okay, and to the government. And of course, there must be social capital too, social capital gains and benefits, perhaps through creating of employment. And then when you go into goods production, all of that services, you expand, the brackets, whereby distributors also come in. There's a value chain along the loan line.
Meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said that most of the roads constructed in the country will be told to repay the loans used to fund them. Emefiele said this on Wednesday while answering questions after the two-day retreat of the Bankers Committee in Lagos. According to him, within the financial system, there is a lot of idle funds that can be channeled if packaged the way the Infrastructure Corporation of Nigeria Limited has been set up to give comfort to the local investors to put their funds in the project. He said most of the funds would be in Naira because the banks and pension fund administrators have large pool of funds, and most of the funds can be raised locally before the country begins to think of assessing international finance. And the National Assembly has failed to meet its target on the passage of the 2022 Appropriation Bill. The House of Representatives had specifically scheduled the laying of the report on the federal government's budget proposal by the Committee on Appropriations for Tuesday, while it was expected to be considered and adopted on Wednesday. After the passage of the budget, the House had proposed to proceed on Christmas and New Year break today. However, the committee failed to lay the report on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Senate, however, blamed the delay on the budget proposed by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the conduct of the 2023 general elections and the National Population Commission for the conduct of the 2022 census. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Jibrin Barau, in a brief chat with journalists, said the latest development would not make passage of the 2022 budget possible this week anymore. The Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning has called for the stripping of the Nigeria Customs Service of the responsibility of revenue collection. According to the ministry, the responsibility should be transferred to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Ships and Ports reported that stakeholders in the sector opposed the passage of the Customs and Excise Management Amendment Bill, saying several provisions in it were draconian and against global best practices. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Aliyu Ahmed, was quoted as saying at a public hearing that there was a need to unify revenue collection to enable customs to concentrate on its responsibility of trade facilitation. A veteran integrated marketing communications IMC lawyer and managing partner at G Law Firm, Mr. Nosakari Uwadiaye, has urged stakeholders displeased with the new advertising industry standard of practice ISOP document to embrace dialogue in the interest of bringing sanity to the industry. He also warned IMC agencies to be careful with the documents they sign with brands, as most of those contracts fall within the regime of unconscionable contracts. Nosakari, who spoke on, quote, advertising impartiality and regulation, end of quote, at the Brand Journalists Association of Nigeria 9th Annual General Meeting and Conference in Lagos, faulted the nature of most contracts entered with Nigerian agencies by multinationals and pointed out their element of unequal bargaining powers. And there was a mild drama at the Senate Committee on Appropriation on Wednesday when the chairman, Senate Committee on Aviation, Senator Smart Adeyemi, warned the federal government against conducting the 2022 national census. He said going ahead with the exercise, which would gulp over 400 billion naira when no part of the country was safe for such an exercise to be effectively conducted, made no sense. Adeyemi, who is representing Kogi West Senatorial District at the Red Chamber, also argued that spending a whopping 400 billion naira on census when there were unemployment and hunger in the land did not make any economic sense. On the foreign scene, the UK is being engulfed by a tidal wave of COVID cases, with a growing number linked to the Omicron COVID variant, as it races to give booster shots to as many people as possible. Early studies show booster shots restore much of the vaccine protection lost through a natural waning of immunity and boost the body's ability to fight the Omicron variant in case of infection. This has prompted the UK, US, and countries across Europe to throw everything they can at accelerating their booster shot programs, given the urgent need to protect citizens and prevent health services from being overwhelmed. The UK in particular is being closely watched, as it is already seeing what Prime Minister Boris Johnson warned would be a tidal wave of COVID cases, even though it's ahead of the US and EU in terms of its booster shot deployment. And that's it from the business desk. A very big thank you for watching. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. Bye for now.
Thank you. And also coming up now is entertainment news with Choma.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment News. I am Chioma Amaibulam. Multiple Grammy winner Bruce Springsteen has sold his masters and music publishing rights to Sony Music in a deal worth about $500 million, entertainment publication Billboard said on Wednesday. The sale will give Sony ownership of the rock music legend's entire catalog, including 15 times platinum album Born in the USA and 5 times platinum The River. Billboard reported Warner Music bought worldwide rights to Bowie's catalog in September, and Dylan sold his back catalog of more than 600 songs in December last year to Universal Music Group at a purchase price widely reported as $300 million. Moving on, Puerto Rican music producer Flo Lamovie died on Wednesday when a private jet crashed minutes after taking off outside Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. The Gulfstream GIVSP, which crashed at Las Americas Airport, had left for Miami with 2 crew members and 7 passengers, one of whom was Dominican and the rest of other nationalities. Among the passengers listed were Jose Angel Hernandez and Debbie Von Marie Jimenez. Moving on, Puerto Rican music producer Flo Lamovie died on Wednesday when the private jet crashed minutes after taking off outside Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. The Gulfstream GIVSP, which crashed at Las Americas Airport, had left for Miami with 2 crew members and 7 passengers, one of whom was Dominican and the rest of the other nationalities. Among the passengers listed were Jose Angel Hernandez and Debbie Von Marie Jimenez. Hernandez was a music producer popularly known as Flo Lamovie. The flight took off at 5:09 p.m. and crashed 16 minutes later, according to a statement from airport operator Aerodom. The plane crashed just outside the airport's perimeter and declared an emergency just prior to attempting to land. The Dominican Republic's Aviation Accidents Commission is leading an investigation into the crash. And that's it on Entertainment News. I am Chioma Amaibulam.
Moving on now is the sports news.
Mercedes have decided not to pursue their appeal against the results of the title-deciding Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Their move follows a decision by governing body the FIA to conduct a detailed analysis of the end of the race and an admission that the controversy is tarnishing Formula One's image. Mercedes have stated that they welcome the decision and would hold the FIA accountable. Mercedes had 2 protests rejected by Formula One officials on Sunday, with the team arguing that race director Michael Masi did not apply the rules correctly. The Australian appeared not to follow standard protocol on restarting the race after a late race safety car period. His decisions left Hamilton, who had led for the vast majority of the race and was on course for the world title, as a sitting duck on old tires, with Max Verstappen behind him on fresh rubber. Mercedes also offered congratulations to Verstappen and Red Bull for their world title win. And still talking sports update, Tottenham Hotspur's Premier League match against Leicester City on Thursday has been postponed due to COVID-19 outbreaks at both clubs. It is the 3rd consecutive postponement involving Tottenham Hotspur after their European Conference League match against Reims last week and Premier League's weekend match against Brighton were all called off. Those postponements came after a total of 8 players and 5 members of staff tested positive for COVID-19. The postponement comes hours after Brentford head coach Thomas Frank called on the Premier League to suspend this weekend's round of fixtures, with several top-flight clubs struggling to contain COVID-19 outbreaks. Manchester United's trip to Brentford on Tuesday and Watford's visit to Burnley are the other Premier League games to have been called off thus far this week. And that's it on Sports Updates. I'm Samson Oleide.
And that's all on news now for now. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. Do have a wonderful day. Bye for now.